everybody. We're back today with another episode of Howie's Hometown Heroes, where we feature business owners, entrepreneurs, we're looking at one right now, and community members who are doing extraordinary, amazing things right there in their hometown and maybe even around the country. So today we're in Chicago. How's the weather in Chicago, Francesca? Freezing
It's
cold?
it is. It went from 70 to like 30
Yeah,
overnight.
same thing here in New York. Like, oh my God, we got to close the windows. We got to do all kinds of. Anyways, we're here with Francesca. Never mind about the weather. And let me tell you about Francesca. She's the CEO of Green Orchid Consulting, which is a CFO kind of company. So we're going to find out a little more like, what does that all really mean anyways? But not only that, one of the things that she's done in her couple of years, long time, whatever, however, I don't guess about ages or anything like that, but I'm just saying in her career, she's a CPA. That's a huge, big deal. I've heard it's like one of the hardest, exams to take in the world, right? She's a best-selling author. No small feat to do that. A book called Sales Fusion. Going to learn a little more about what's going on in that. And she's got a new book coming out next year called Building Your Money Machine. I like that. Sounds like a printing press, just cranking out the dollars. That's exactly what we want, right? But mostly she's really proud of being an entrepreneur. That's a big deal. Leaving that corporate life and no pay, no, not that any paycheck is really guaranteed, but sometimes you depend on that stuff. Not for her and not for a lot of people. So we're always happy to see entrepreneurs on here doing amazing things for themselves and their family. So thanks for being here, Francesca.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. So what's a fun fact about you?
So I don't know that it's a fun fact, but I think it shows that when you put your mind to something, what you can do. So I'm in my jersey today for the Chicago Marathon for Ups for Downs.
Oh, cool.
I sit on the board for that, and mental health is something that is very, very near and dear to my heart. I had a family member who had it, and if you're a family out there either dealing with disabilities or mental health issues, there's no one there to help you.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to get the help. So I was part of a grassroots organization here in my township because in Illinois, we have something called the 708 bill, and that allows townships to ask for funding to have volunteer mental health boards. And so this past November 7th, we had a referendum on the ballot for funding for this organizational group board, and we passed. So we will now in our township get $1.5 million a year to be able to help families and to start a path for how we can help families that are dealing with disabilities as well as mental illness.
Wow. So that's like two different things, kind of disabilities, physical and mental disabilities, right? Right.
Yeah.
And mental health too. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
How big is your township? How many people can that affect?
Oh my gosh, probably over 100,000.
Oh, it's a good chunk of money, boy, to be spread around. So, and I'm sure you have some plans in place ready for that to move forward. Huh?
Well, so it's a whole process, right?
Oh,
so
okay.
The township has to approve the board. There is a standing board right now. I'll go ahead and apply to that to see if I can get added. They've got one seat open. Then there's a year of doing all the, what are you trying to do? Where are you trying to do it? Getting that approval.
Sure.
Then the next year when the money comes in,
okay,
we'll be able to appropriate that money out.
To do whatever makes sense.
To do what we need to do for the township to help.
Wow, that's really great. We're coming back in a year from now and seeing those dollars come rolling in, right? That's good.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. But again, you don't think you have power. You don't think you have a voice. You have a voice.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody, even people with disabilities or whatever, have a voice that we should be listening to and understand.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's pretty cool. So tell us when you made that transition from like corporate CPA kind of person, right? To entrepreneur and CFOing, and tell us. Well, first of all, what was that epiphany moment that said, "Okay, I'm done. Here's my pink slip. See you later." What went through your head?
So what went through my head is being a CPA, I have to live to a certain code of ethics. And in doing so, what happens is you may go work for different companies and things may be going sideways or
Ooh.
not within what you need to be doing. And
Mm.
so it becomes a point where, if I go work for someone else, is there something that's going to come up? And these are things that you learn in college, right? You go to your audit class and they say, when this and this happens, you have to excuse yourself.
Oh,
And you think to yourself, that would never happen.
what? I was gonna say, like what? Like what kind of thing
So,
might come
so
up?
for instance, in one of my classes, we were discussing an audit that at some point in your career, someone's going to ask you to make an entry to make the books look better so that they can get
Ooh.
a loan. And I'm
Oh, where
like,
have I heard that before? Okay, go ahead.
right,
Okay.
right. So this would never happen. So early in my career, it happened.
Early. Didn't even take long.
No, early in my career that happened. And so I reached out to my mentors and I'm like, what do I do? And they said, today's your last day there. You need to get up
Oh
and
my
leave.
gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it's you have to do the right things, and I'm bound to a code of ethics.
Sure. Sure.
So you learn these things, and you think that, oh, that would never happen, but it does. But if you now if you think back, right, you look at Arthur Anderson, you look at Enron, you look at all
Enron.
these big companies, right? Things like that do
Yeah.
happen. So you have to be strong enough, and I am blessed to be able to recognize right from wrong. I'm
Mm-hmm.
able to recognize being threatened, I'm being and being bullied. And I will just say this: if you are a person that's working someplace and you're being bullied and threatened, then walk away.
Walk away. Yeah, for sure.
Just walk away.
There's no job worth your integrity
No, there
and that
is.
would screw you up in following jobs, right? If that gets,
Well, not only that, but then you're having to deal with that mental with
mm,
your head as well,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So now you've got to recover from that as well. So the decision to go out on my own was an easy one, because when you get to a certain level in a C-suite position, you may not be there if the company changes, if the C-suite changes, they bring in a new president, your
Oh,
job could be on the line, right? If you're not following everything that new person is doing.
mm.
So,
Whether it's integrity or not. I mean, whether it's
right,
just
right.
not
So,
necessarily illegal. Yeah.
yeah. So when you're looking at that and you're dealing with not knowing, right, which way the wind may swing, or somebody gets, I want to do it this way, which is not really in the line of what you've been doing, or maybe that's not even in your bailiwick,
Yeah.
right? So your job is always could potentially be on the line. And so with that being said, I decided that, you know what, I wanted to go out on my own. Let's just do it.
Let's just do,
Let's
yeah. What's holding
let's
you
just
back?
do it.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and did it. But what I didn't understand is, being an accounting and finance person, I didn't have all the right skill sets, right?
Ah,
Because you're introverted, right? You're not out there talking with people. I didn't have a huge network built. I had some people, but I didn't have this huge network. And then when I made this choice to do this, Howard, then we went into this pandemic,
oh no. Let's just throw another monkey wrench in the whole
right?
work. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I will tell you, it had, right, there's always a silver lining. So the good news is when I first started out, I probably was terrible, right? Because I didn't know how to sell. I didn't know what this was about. What I did learn through this whole thing is it's building relationships,
Sure. Everything's about
right?
relationships. Yep.
And so when the opportunity came up to do the book sales fusion, they asked me if I would write my chapter. So I co-authored this with about 13 others.
Oh, cool.
If they asked me if I would co-author, if I would do this so that I could explain what I had to do, right? So I used to be sitting on the side of the table asking the salespeople, what's your budget? What are you going to do? How are you going to get there? And then when they didn't, it was, well, why didn't you meet that goal?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? You said you were going to do this, but you didn't do it. But now when you're on the other side of the table and you're setting your goals, and now you're asking yourself, why didn't you do
Why didn't you
it?
do that?
So anyhow, so my chapter really is all the different steps of what I did and how I did it and
Ah,
all the important things, right? And so, initially in my out meeting people before COVID hit, right? We all have these,
Oh
right?
yeah,
We have
yeah,
all
yeah,
these
yeah, yeah.
millions
Sure.
of cards sitting. And so what do you do with that? How do you work through that? And how do you build those
Hmm.
relationships? So really interesting. And it's a good if you're looking to be an entrepreneur, if you're out looking to like, well, what steps would I have to do? What do I need to do?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
My
yeah,
chapter
yeah.
really goes through the steps that I did in order to be successful
That's great.
at being an
That's great.
entrepreneur.
I'm sure that would work for almost any profession, no matter where you're
Exactly.
coming in from or going to. Yeah, the steps are there. And have you? How many stumbles did you have to go through? You didn't have a book to follow when you
No.
started, right? So, what kind of skill? First of all, what kind of skills did you think you have or didn't have when you started, right?
So I thought I could talk. I thought I could carry on a conversation,
Yeah.
and I thought that I was a pretty good conversation, not always, but I thought I could do it. What I learned is for me to be on, it's exhausting. So when I first started, I would go back to my coaches and I would say, I have to take naps during the day. I can't maintain this energy level.
Oh,
So you're very energetic, Howard, right? And so that may be just natural for you, but for an accounting finance person,
oh yeah,
it's tough. Or an introvert, right? Think about an introverted person. For us to be out there, it's exhausting. So
it,
initially, I was taking a lot of naps just to get through. And I would talk to my coaches about this, and they're like, if you have to take a nap in the middle of the day, take a nap.
yeah.
Give yourself permission to do that. So that was one stumbling block. And the other was, how am I going to close a deal? That was a big concern
Okay,
for
sure.
me, to close the deal. And what I will tell you is, you're not selling, you're providing solutions.
Hmm.
And if you're providing solutions to someone, then they're going to say, you know what, I need help with that solution. So I'm going to hire you to help me with that solution. So I think if you look at it that way, and you can't help everybody, right?
Oh,
Because
I mean, it depends on
everybody doesn't,
what
they
your
may
skills.
not have a pain point, or they're not ready for your solution
Yeah,
today. And that's okay too. So you have to give yourself permission to say, it's okay if they don't need me today.
yeah. One of the things we talk about too is that anybody who ever bought anything bought the thing to solve a problem. So what is
Exactly.
right? So
Right. Yeah.
in those conversations, what is find out what their problem is. They may not even realize what their problem is.
Yeah.
And can your what you do really solve that problem or not? Like you said,
Well,
maybe not
and so
today, maybe tomorrow.
the other piece of that with networking, so you and I are having a conversation, and you're telling me, well, this is going on, or maybe this is,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to use my CRM. Well, I have people in my network, and I
Yeah,
can refer them to you and say, Howard, go talk to this person, they know
yeah,
all
yeah, yeah.
about
They know about
this
that. Yeah,
subject, right?
yeah,
So even though I'm not selling or providing a proposal for something I do, I'm able to, through building those relationships, help you,
sure,
right?
sure,
And so if I can give to you, that's a good thing.
for sure. It's always I like talk about giving and receiving. It's always better to give first.
Yeah.
That way you've already given them something they didn't ask for or expect, or didn't
Yeah.
cost anybody anything. And I mean, the
Exactly.
more you can help, the more you can help, and the more people you know. So, so I got to ask. Wait, what's Green Orchid? Where did that come from?
Oh, so Green Orchid is my newest entity. And so it is a consulting service. And I'm going to tell you that every company, I don't care what size you are, deserves to have CFO services.
Oh, really?
And so here's what happens. Somebody says, I want to launch this company. I want to do this. I want to do that. They're putting all their strategies together. Now they're getting serious, right, with what they're doing.
Mhm.
They may need to figure out, okay, so what kind of entity am I going to open? Who are you going to ask?
Yeah. What are the options? Who even knows what the options are? Yeah.
Right. So you may be going to an accountant. You may be going to a CFO. You may be going to a tax person. If you're going to that CFO person, they're going to help point you in the right directions.
Uh-huh.
You need to go talk with this person. You need to set this up. These are the pros and cons for this, to help them make those decisions. So it doesn't matter where you are. A company that maybe they're at $10 million and doing revenue, right? Their books may not be right.
Oh.
They may not have the right cost of goods sold. Their margins might be wrong. They may not be capitalizing everything they need to on their balance sheet. Now, you would think that their CPA may be able to help them.
Yeah, that's just what I was going to say. It's got to be $10 million. They got to be doing something right. Yeah.
But a CPA looks at what the books say today and history. They're more historians.
Oh,
right?
okay. I never
CFO,
thought of that. Okay.
CFO, I'm going to look at what's going on in the past, but I'm going to look at what do we need to do going forward.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
And so one of my clients, they were sitting at margins, and I said, that's not your true margin. So they thought they were at a 15% margin.
Yeah.
When I figured out and put everything together, it was really 9%.
Oh.
And they went, what?
Uh-oh.
Right? So again, so we've been working on that. These guys are phenomenal. They listen. They want to improve, and now their margins are going up. They made some decisions,
Awesome.
they changed some things, and now the margin's going up.
That's
and
great.
they're in a better position, but they didn't think about it.
Because their skill was doing whatever their business is.
Yep.
Not really looking at the numbers and digging in. That reminds me of we talk about this, I'll say frequently anyway. So a lot of people, most people get into a business, whatever the business is, because of the thing the business does, like plumbers, electricians, or IT people. I mean, right, all that kind of stuff. They love the computers and do all that stuff. But there's like 20 skills you need to run a business. And if you don't have some of those, then you're either going downhill or you got to find somebody to do it for you. Right.
Well, and so they may not realize that there may be money to help them with the different things. They may not realize that their financials need to be in order to go get that money.
That money, yeah.
Right. So I had a client who was trying to get a draw on their line of credit that they had put together. They weren't meeting their debt covenants. They weren't doing what they were supposed to do. And then they didn't realize the financials weren't done. So they sent the financials and they were wrong.
Oh.
Because the in-house accountants didn't finish. So then when they looped me in, I had to say, oh, we've had staffing issues. The owner didn't realize the financials weren't done. We're in the process of updating them. So again, it was just that communication. I had no idea he was sending this out and doing this.
Okay.
And then he reeled me in after, he got himself in trouble. And so again, I smoothed everything over. He got what he needed. Awesome. We said, sorry about that. We'll fix it going forward. We'll be in a much better position.
Well, good. And did it come out? Did he get the line of credit or whatever it was?
Yeah, he got the draw that he
needed. Okay.
Yeah. So, but again, he just didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So what when they say well, what is it? What you don't know, not what you don't know won't hurt you or something like that. But knowledge is power, and here's a little more knowledge really gives you that much more power to know what's going on. And there's a skill he didn't have and didn't know and thought he was doing the right thing. Right?
I had another client that they had receivables open on their books, and nobody was attacking this. And in the past year, we've collected over $750,000 of those receivables.
Oh my gosh! For the one client.
For one client,
oh yes,
so we've been able to pay down loans. Just like in your personal life, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes people live paycheck to paycheck. You would know this, right? Because of what you do.
That's what we do. Yeah.
Right. So businesses sometimes get into that same issue. So if you're living paycheck to paycheck, or you're having a hard time paying your bills, it's when you need to raise your hand and say, I need a little help here.
Yeah.
And here's what I'm going to tell you. With what I do and who I work with, we are extremely affordable, and we understand your financials. So
there you go. Fit right in.
We know the help that you need and how to help you, also being respectful of your financials. And you don't need me full time. You need my full knowledge, but you only need it for a little bit of time. And so what I do is we gauge what those needs are, and then I help you to get to where you need to be.
So that was something we alluded to a little earlier, right? Fractional CFO. But so why wouldn't you call yourself that? What does that mean, actually, really?
So for me, if you said So if I said to you, I'm going to be your heart surgeon, but I'm just a fractional heart surgeon, would you hire
Okay.
a fractional heart surgeon?
Hmm. Uh,
Probably not,
Probably, yeah. I would like somebody who's been doing that full time for a while.
right? So you are hiring someone to meet the needs that you need right now. You're not bringing them on full time. So we don't, so to me, when you say fractional, it has a derogatory term to it. You get 100% of my knowledge, you get 100% of me, but the time frame that you need me
It's
is
only a
limited.
little bit of
Like
time.
a heart surgeon or a brain surgeon.
I love that
You know what I
analogy. I
mean?
never would have thought of that. That's good.
Yeah. So you get 100, and I will tell you that if I'm helping you, I'm your trusted advisor. I'm the
Sure,
person
sure.
that you're picking up the phone, that you're calling or you're sending an email to.
Uh,
And I don't bill by emails. I don't have time to keep track of that, right? So if you're my client, I'm here to help you. We're going to find solutions. We're going to do what we need to do to get your business to where it needs to be.
Very cool. Well, that's really cool. I love the way that kind of flows together, and those kind of analogies really make it much clearer for me. And what do I know? So that's, I mean, my
Yeah.
world is really personal finance, but not necessarily that detailed in business finance. I know a little, a little bit, but not into that level of detail. So,
Yeah.
and you work anywhere, right? You can be
Yeah.
pretty
Anywhere.
much
I
anywhere.
don't,
That's very cool.
yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So so you have some great success stories. That was a lot of fun. So is there a time, I mean, it's going to tell us a story about a time when maybe a client was resistant to hearing your solution, and did you overcome that, or did you tell them, oh, can't do it, move on? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, so I'm working with a client right now, and we've had some challenges with the books not working properly. I've never seen this
Mm,
before, Howard. I mean, it's just been, it's like every time we turn around, something else goes wrong. So I was able to find a new consultant for them in the realm of the software that they're using.
oh,
And in doing so, and kind of convincing the client, let's just do this deep dive. Let's let them come in and look at things. What we're finding is the inception of the company that they started with this software back in 2014, that maybe the implementation just wasn't done right. And we had seen a couple little things, but in looking at it last week, we found some other things that maybe are wrong behind the scenes,
oh,
that when the implementation was done, it's been problematic. And I will tell you that the client is just head over heels with us looking with another consulting firm to help
ah,
figure out what's going on behind the scenes in this system that they're using. And so by doing this, we have implemented some new procedures that are more time saving.
oh,
The
that's great.
accountant who's working is just ecstatic with the things that we're finding and doing. And we're going to solve some of the baseline problems that we've just been seeing that we haven't been able to resolve.
There you
So
go.
it was tough. It was hard to get them to agree to, let's make this change. Let's look at something else. I did all the research, interviewed a number of companies, found the people that I thought would mix well with this
Yeah,
client,
yeah,
and implemented this. And the client is head over
yeah.
heels with
That's
this, but it's a huge, huge change. And
change.
I'm just happy that we're able to do this.
You lived through. I guess there might be some tough conversations
It
with the
is.
client to get over to that. And
But again, I'm in there as their trusted advisor.
advisor, right,
I'm
right, right.
in there to help
They
them,
get it.
and I can only give them solutions and hope that my reasoning for doing it resonates well enough with them to be able to do it.
And that you've built up enough of a relationship with them so that they will listen. That's
Yeah.
instead of, I don't want to say be argumentative, but at least, you know, if they trust you, that you are really looking out for them, and
Yeah.
that's the way they're going to believe.
Exactly.
Well,
Absolutely.
well, very cool. This is awesome. That was great. So now you got your new book coming out next year. Where do you see yourself in 3, 5, 10 years? How are you gonna scale this business up and all kind of stuff? Who is your CFO that you talk to?
So I do collaborate with a number of other companies,
Uh-huh.
and there's a couple other companies are kind of doing similar to what I'm doing, a little different, but
Okay.
similar, but we're all collaborating together.
Cool.
And so next 2023, I will be focused on being on the road more
Oh,
and doing speaking engagements. The book that's coming out, Building Your Money Machine, and it's how to optimize your business with with the end in mind.
oh,
And so this book is not only going to be a book, but it's going to be a workbook.
oh, nice.
So we're going to be talking about different things that you need to be doing and then have some workbook related homework type
Yeah,
items
oh, great. That's
in
great.
there. So we'll take this out on the road and be speaking more about it. And again, everybody talks about exit strategy, and what the pushback is that you get is, I'm not looking to exit today. No, you're not, but someday you will.
Someday you will be. So
And so why would you wait till you're going to sell your business to optimize it? You
yeah,
should be optimizing your business today, but understand all the things that you need to have in place. Now, Howard, you're one of those people that we need to have in place. We need to have that wealth manager type
yeah,
person because and again, Green Orchid is more holistic. So not only do we want the business owner and the business to be good, we want to make sure that the business owner's personal finance
finances are in line.
are in
Absolutely.
line.
Absolutely.
But if we can have that push to the team members as well, most business owners are concerned about their team members, right? So you
Yeah,
and I talked about you coming in and doing, a
exactly.
how-to for the team, right? Do a
Yep.
lunch and learn type thing. So when that whole ecosystem within the organization is humming, guess what? Your employees are that much happier,
Happy. Oh,
right?
for sure.
Because everybody's winning at that point. So
Mhm.
Green Orchid is really focused on everybody winning. How do we make this a harmonious organization
Mhm.
and everybody wins? And
Everybody wins.
again, with the book, that's phenomenal. I'm hoping to be able to get this approved for CPE credits as well as maybe
Oh,
maybe even trying to get it into some colleges as well.
cool. There you go. There's a real scaling up. I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
That's
So
great.
again, so that's what we're looking to do.
Nice.
I have an ecosystem of people who are willing to partner with me.
Mhm.
And so yeah, so that's what we're
Well,
doing.
I'm looking forward to that for sure, and
Yeah.
but I hope I can get a signed copy of the book, just saying.
You can. So this book is on my website. Sales Fusion is on
Oh,
the
okay.
website, and you can get signed copies.
Well, cool. That's very good. And then a new the new book for sure. I want to see that for sure. So and
Absolutely.
I pass that around to, my contacts, people who I know, and make sure they're on the right page. You always see a business owner who seems to be successful, but you really don't know. Well, certainly we don't know, and maybe the owner doesn't even know if they're doing the right things for sure.
So let me just interject here. So I was doing the monthly exit strategy seminar. Now we're going to use the new book. So
Hmm.
I halted those. We're going to do the new book and then go back to
Okay.
those seminars. But my first seminar that I held, somebody came in and they were in transition of getting ready to sell their business. So they had
Okay.
already gone to a broker and they were using a broker.
Okay. Okay.
So I asked him, I said, so how much money do you have to get out of the business? And he said, I need 300,000 out. That would really help me.
Okay.
I said, what are you selling the business for? He said 300,000. I said, I'm concerned that you need 300 and you're selling it for 300. And then I asked him, I said, so what's the tax implication of this? And his response to me was, I have no
No
idea.
idea. Yeah.
Right. So again, had I been able to get him before he went ahead and said he was going to sell the business, I could have helped him and maybe we could have gotten a higher price
Higher
for it.
price for it.
And I will also tell you that he did not drive his revenue, which he could have easily have done. So he left money on the
Dave.
table
Ah,
because he didn't drive his revenue. Had he spent one more year in the business, we could have driven up the revenue and he would have gotten more money.
oh, money out. Okay. There you go. You know, people come to you or me or whatever their issues are, we help them however we can. That's the
Yeah,
yeah. So
absolutely.
and you always see, it happens to me too. you see a family doing whatever they're doing and whatever situation they're in. But boy, if you had done this like a year ago, whenever, they'd be in better shape. Oh,
Right. And so that's why we're focused on optimization with
mhm.
the end in mind. Because when
Nice,
you say
nice.
exit,
That's
everybody just shuts down.
that's the first rule of 7 habits, right? So there you go.
Yeah.
Begin with the end in mind. I love it. Love it. Well, Francesca, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you being here. And for everybody else out there, if there's somebody who we can feature on Howie's Hometown Heroes who has done amazing things like Francesca has done, let's put their name in the comments, call me, do whatever. And we're happy to feature them on here. So whether it's your business, your community organization, like Francesca starting, right, or your personal finances, remember, it's money that makes those gears keep turning. Make sure your money is working in the most optimal way it can. Thanks, Francesca. See you
Thanks
soon.
so much. Thanks. Bye.